As soon as it tells me we're going live, and we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. We are here in a special Thrive Loud live catch-up episode with someone who's on the program recently because she is a freaking rock star. And we're going to talk, I think, all things podcast today. I think that's what we're going to do. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do, but she is, if you want to launch your podcast, if you need strategies around your business, whether it's video, audio, getting your brand out there, like in a very noisy digital world, nobody clears it up and makes it cleaner than the CEO and founder of Podetize, Brandcasters. And she's a former Inc. columnist, and she's just pretty awesome. She also hosts a bunch of podcast shows, most notably The Binge Factor, which I was on recently, which was a ton of fun. And I was just talking with her that I probably provided way too much information on that show. So here, I'm going to flip the tables and flip the script so that she can provide just as much information. Thrive Loud listeners and viewers on LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, wherever the heck we are, we're everywhere. Please welcome Tracy Hazzard to the show. Tracy, how are you today?
I'm awesome. So glad to be here.
I'm excited to catch up. First of all, one, because you're like superstar human being doing like 6,000 things at once. And just the fact that I was actually able to get you at any point in time is amazing. So I think that's a good thing, but let's do this. What are we up to right now in the world of Tracy? Because you got lots of balls juggling in the air.
I do. You know, the thing is that we're all struggling with this. Like we're all struggling with this exact same problem that I've got to be the content creator for my business. I've got to be the out there in front of, like this morning, I just told you before I had an investor meeting, right? So I'm out there seeking investment and growth for my business, but I got to be my content creator too, my chief marketing officer. Like even though I have a business with 84 staff members worldwide, I still have a lot of hats to wear. And that's the case so often with the CEOs of all kinds of companies right now.
Tracy, what's your favorite hat to wear? Which hat do you like wearing the most?
I love the interviewer hat. I do. I love interviewing because it feeds into my curiosity. I'm so curious about people, about how things work. And I'm researching while I'm doing it. All the nuggets that you shared on my show, I'm going to use again and again, whether I'm strategizing with clients or developing products within my company. I'm going to use that information and I synthesize it into something. So that being able to wear that hat actually has huge foundational importance to my business, and it's my favorite one. So that makes it even easier.
What do you think right now is the biggest problem that your clients, the people that you help the most, what is the biggest problem or the most common problem that they are facing today?
They're hidden experts, that they all feel hidden. Their voice isn't getting heard enough. They're not being seen enough. They're not being found enough. This is the problem that everyone feels, is that I'm not getting enough visibility, and enough visibility with the right people. That really matters to them as well.
Do you think most of your clients even know who the right people are?
You know, I think we have an idea of what we think they are. And in my experience, because I used to develop a lot of products for mass market retail, and there's no way you ever knew who bought your product, right? You had no sense of that. So you had to go in there with this premise of who my right ideal buyer is. But what we forget so often is that they're screened through the platforms that we utilize. So if I were selling into Costco, that's a different type of person than who is going into Walmart. And if I didn't design my product differently for those two places, I wouldn't be successful. And today we have that same problem where we think we're putting content out there for Instagram. But is that the right place? And maybe all of our clients are actually over in LinkedIn. And what we produce in Instagram isn't really good when we just repost it in LinkedIn. It doesn't work. It doesn't land in the same way. So we do have to think about our content as a product, as an output. But we also have to think of the channel that it's going through to reach those right people we believe are our audience.
It's interesting because I play around with, I have found, at least for my programming, we have two spaces that our audience shows up the most at. And it's interesting because I wouldn't have thought these two would be comparable. One is LinkedIn, where you're broadcasting live right now. And the other is Instagram, which seems to be a tremendous driver of awareness of our episodes or those stories. It seems to be the thing that we're able maybe to connect the most frequently or the most casually. I'm not even sure which is the right way of looking at that. And I don't even address the fact that we also do stuff in Twitter and Facebook, even in YouTube as well. So to the video and podcast host or the clients of yours that are producing this content, how do you help them figure out the medium that is the best channel for them to target themselves on? Because that's something that everyone is having a problem with, at least in my mind, in my world it is. Is you seeing that too?
I agree. But I think that part of the problem is that we go for a place that we know. So if I'm really comfortable in Instagram, but my clients aren't in Instagram, that's not going to make a lot of sense. So I always look at my existing client base first, if you have one. If you don't have one, then you're going to flip this. So if you have a client base, go and find out what platform they use the most. What one do they log into every single day, more than once a day, where they are constantly using. Also, they might be hosting their own groups. So, because I'm a business to business model. So in a business to business model, where are they hosting their own groups? Where do they have to play for their own business? Now, they might be wrong about that, but they're already playing in that world. So you want to match yourself to them. So for me, that has always been LinkedIn. It works out really well for us because LinkedIn's my favorite place. So if you don't know who your audience is, go to the place you're the most comfortable and authentically yourself. You actually show up there. You don't have a team who posts there. You show up there and you post. It makes it easier for you to start understanding who that audience is and who's reaching out, who's commenting, who's engaging with you. So if that is over on Instagram, we want to make sure though that engagement is turning into something. Yeah. With LinkedIn, I find if you're getting direct message, if someone's reaching out to you, you have an understanding that they are there for you. But in Instagram, just because they're commenting and hearting your post doesn't mean they're actually listening to it. So if you're not seeing the boost on the listening side to your podcast, or you're not seeing someone click through to your content and come to your website, then the actually engagement isn't turning into something. And while that's not bad, you want engagement, but is it actually turning into what you're looking for?
I've had this argument that it doesn't matter to me if your program has 20 listeners, and if a good percentage of those 20 listeners are your clients, great, talk to them every single day. It's like having an audience to your paying community. And if you had like thousands of listeners and you didn't really know who they are, I actually would prefer the smaller situation. But everyone's always trying to grow. Even you're trying to grow and keep up with the business. Finding that fine line between delivering on what you are intended to do with your programming and your communication, and connecting to the audience that is going to give you the most value. I want to flip this to you. You have a very wide net of who you help. How do you narrow down how you help the people and the message that you get out there? I mean, my interview on Binge Factor, you're hitting all these great podcast folks, and it gives you exposure. You obviously have a system of all the programs on Podetize that all the shows that are on Podetize that use you for helping to get their content in the right way and getting themselves launched. Can you cast as wide a net as you'd like, or do you have an idea of which lanes I need to play in? I'm curious.
So because we've been doing this for a while, right? I've been able to narrow down and see what works. But the reality is that we could go to anyone, right? So anyone who's thinking about being a podcaster is a lot harder to find, though. So you'd have to cast a very, very wide net in order to get to just anyone who might be thinking about being a podcaster. It's a whole lot easier for me to find someone who's already a podcaster and speak directly to them, because I can find them. They put podcaster in their title on LinkedIn. They typically talk about their show all the time. So what I found is that because that's an easier audience to identify, it's also easier for me to structure my content to be tailored to those people. And those people will share my show to the aspiring. And so, or share my content and my company to the aspiring. And the aspiring will find you naturally, because if they're sharing and saying, I heard this great tip from Tracy on the binge factor and I'm putting it into my show, like if they say that anywhere, then everyone's saying, wow, so this guy who I think is really great and amazing at podcasting has this person as his as who he models, then I want to know who that person is. And so it cascades into growth in terms of your audience. But for us, I feel like there's a lot of people out there selling courses and like startups and how-tos and do all of that. There's a lot of people, and it's a lot of junk out there, to be honest with you. It's been there, done that once, and I hate those, right? And so I just, decided at some point in our business, we weren't going to speak to that. We were going to go ahead and say, if you're serious about podcasting, if you're serious about video casting, then we're the place for you. And we're going to continue to provide this top level content that is going to attract the best of the best, so that when they become our clients and they love what we do for them and they love what we provide for them, they refer us to someone else. That's where we get our business. 90% of our business comes from referrals from other podcasters. Now, of course, there's a reward system built into our platform for that, but it doesn't really matter. We get them anyway. We get some people who, I'm not your client yet. I'm still working on formulating my show, but I'm sending you these 3 people in advance of that. And they don't even ask, can I have credit for them? Yes, we give them credit for it anyway, but they do it because they know they want to pay back the value you've brought them.
I want to talk about 2 mediums here, because you would be the expert on this, and I am very curious to hear the answer on this. Okay, you help with both video programming, as we're doing both right now. We are doing the audio podcast and the video stream right now. There is more of this each and every day, and I don't know necessarily if everybody is watching, if everybody is listening as much as maybe they could. So how do you help video and podcasters figure out the space to play in? Even you're trying to figure out the right space to play in as you have content in your programs and your shows and the ways to do this. What's some of the exercises that you work with your clients to figure out, hey, this is going to be a good way to maximize, grow, change, or optimize what you're currently doing?
So, every business is really different. And so I like to play on multi-levels within what is this going to do for my business, and making sure that each level is doing something to either take time away so that your time is most optimized, so it's being efficient with that time. So if I need to fill my website with blogs, then I want to do one thing that gets me that blog at the end of the day. And for me, it's also articles. So I look at that path as one direct thing. And so how can I do one thing and get as much out of it as possible? So I like to start in video. Not everybody is comfortable in video, and that's okay. But there might be a video play for them, because what we find is that not a lot of percentage of video watchers actually watch the video. They might listen to it, but they're not actually actively watching it. And that's because most videos that are put out today are talking heads like you and I here today. And they're not necessarily these intense visual, like beautiful, crafted Disney movies, right? Right, exactly. Oh, now we're getting fancy.
Now I'm just trying to annoy the viewer here. If they're seeing it, they're paying attention.
But no, most people aren't doing things that are dynamic and interesting, and that's okay. And we're comfortable with it, but we just, hey, we've got YouTube on, and it's easier to just pop that on and listen to it while I'm working on my computer and doing something else. It's convenient. And so when we think about that, we don't actually know how they're consuming it. So why not create an audiogram? It's just an audio wave. There's a static image, and we're giving it to them though in the place that they care about, right? And they happen to be YouTube watchers and YouTube listeners, that is a thing, to be a YouTube listener. But we want them to listen to the content all the way through, right? That's our goal. And that's where podcasting is amazing, because we have listeners that listen all the way through, don't miss. That's why we call them binge listeners. They don't miss a single episode. When they find you, they binge on everything you have and go through all of your catalog. And then they feel like they know you, and they want to know you more. They want more from you. And this is where, that's when they come back to your website, right? Yeah. But if you then haven't filled this stuff into your website and made your website as rich as your podcast, that's where you've lost something in the translation. So now if I can do something like do video to audio to blog to social share, and I've got all that accomplished for me, all my content is being pushed out into multimedia and done in all those places. Now, what's that next level of thing that I can do something for my business? So my show is geared so I can meet great podcasters like you, Lou, so that I can get to know you and build my network of other podcasters, get some great research information, but I also get a lot of clients from doing those interviews. And so that translation in that process is also a lead generation model. So a networking and lead generation model. So now I've brought multi-levels into everything that I do. So to answer your original question, it's like, that's the ideal because we're so busy today. Can what we do achieve as much as possible if we're strategic about it and we utilize the best tactics to get it out there?
I'm just laughing. We're going to give a shout out to Robert Hart, who commented, "Please stop zooming in and out. You're making me dizzy," which is good, which you got to love the live feed. I actually think the best part about the multifaceted, both video and audio, is it's just content. And we can manipulate the content however we see fit. There'll be a component of this video that we'll make into a sizzle reel at one point or another that'll be like a best of, or it'll be a special feature featuring Tracy when her episode comes out on Thrive Loud. It'll be that type of a thing that we can package, and we have the option. So I'm with you on if you do the video, you at least have the optionality to use it. As a speaker, I've learned this a long time. Whenever you have an opportunity to film something, you capture it on film, because all those assets can be put into whatever it is, the best of one moment, something really cool. It's the same thing with your platform. If you're a podcaster, if you're a video caster, if you're a YouTuber, as much of that familiarity and all the ways that you can access and tap into people for whatever your end goal is, to sell a service, of getting them to be a client of yours, to connect with them, to market, to network, whatever it might be. I think it's important that you recognize that each one of these touch points is going to connect with someone, and you just covered every single one of them. I now want to cover some things about you. Tell me right now the thing that you have learned in the hosting seat, in the interview seat, something that a guest has provided, that someone has given you information that was like, oh my God, that was a cool nugget that I've never thought of. You get a lot of them. Recent ones, things that you've heard of, because I know you've got a bunch somewhere in the tip of your brain somewhere.
So one of the things that we don't do enough of is when those ahas happen for ourselves, we don't tell the audience. So that's the first thing that I always coach my clients, and I make sure that I do. I have a recap at the end of my show where I'll say, I'm going to try this. This was really cool. This was a really great idea. This is something that you all should pay attention to. Or I'll go, hey, time out, stop. Did you hear what she said? And are you listening to this? And I like to do that because so often people are looking to you as the expert when you're hosting, and if you forget that you have a curation job, right? A job to point out those wonderful nuggets, then you're not serving your audience as well. So it is my job to make sure and point them out. So when they happen, I also like to try them. I like to research and see how it's working and see what's happening over there and see if I can make that work for us as well. So one thing that happened was Kimmy Seltzer, who has the Charisma Quotient. Love Kim, right?
Love Kim.
She's awesome. And so she has the Charisma Quotient, which is a fabulous show. She's had it for a really long time. She has 3 different style episodes. And I can tell you how many people I refer to listen to her show, not just for her, because she's amazing, but for the format of the show because of the 3 types of episodes she does. But what she does that's really great is she has an on-air coaching. And the on-air coaching is her 3rd type of episode. And she does about 20 minutes with someone, and she's helping them through a problem. And it's a free on-air. She has an application form that you fill out, and she's a relationship coach. So these are some sensitive subjects that are talking about. But I started to incorporate on-air coaching in December as a test last year. And I got 6 of my clients to come do it. Those that have been with me for a while, but we're ready for like that leveling up kind of strategy call. Because as I always say, I want to keep that, high level of interest. I don't want someone who just started, because then we'll be covering all those newbie things again. And I really wanted to cover the advanced stuff. So people who had 100 episodes or more, and I went in and I did an on-air strategy session, and they were so well received that I'm now incorporated into a regularly occurrence part of my monthly episodes that I do. And sometimes I kind of do these hybrids.
Yeah.
Where I say, hey, if I have a suggestion for you, are you comfortable with me saying that on air? So it ends up being a combination of they're an expert in something, but they usually say somewhere along the lines, like, I wish I had more listeners. I wish I had a strategy for increasing listeners. And I can say, are you open to some mentorship for that right at this moment? And I can give them some suggestion for their particular show right at that moment. So I now have done a few of these hybrids, and they're even better received because we get the story and we get the nudges.
I like it. This is a shout out. As you were saying it, Kimmy came to New York, and we did a home and home, and we did it in a very cool place down in the Bowery. We'll give her a shout out here for it. And we both did each of our episodes, and it was actually cool because it had this ambient noise in the background. If you know, people buzzing, it was like a real buzz. And thinking about it, this was way before COVID. This was a long time ago, actually, but it was really effective. And I actually like what Kimmy does is she does in this pre-planned bio opening. She does like almost like a monologue.
That's another thing I point out all the time. It's brilliant.
Yeah, she does a whole little monologue, and then it bleeds into the conversation. So it's pretty cool stuff.
What's really brilliant about it is that she's structuring. So because she's bringing on other experts that could, potentially sell to her same audience, which is good for her because, you're sharing audiences. So now their audience becomes her audience, and they might like her better, right? Like in the thing. But she's structuring the conversation and taking control of the topic so that person can't run away with it and start overselling and doing things. That's a brilliant structure. She's done that, and she's got it refined to the nth degree. I love the way she does it.
Fun stuff. Shout out to Kimmy Seltzer. We love Kim in LA, out by you. Okay. Tell me what's going on. Fun stuff that you got going on. The summer's not too far away. Your episode's coming out. I don't even know. In June, we're going to have back-to-back Tracy episodes. That's a lot of Tracy for everybody, but I think they can handle it. Plans for the summer? Anything? Are you getting out? Are things opening up a little bit for you?
So yeah, I'm start traveling next week, and we're headed into May. So as we're recording this, so I'm headed out. I've got speaking engagements starting. I'm starting a little slower, one a month. Let's see how it goes, and we'll go from there. But heading into August and into the fall, I've got more going on and already pre-planned. So I do see a lot of opening up happening. But I also have a lot of virtual going on where people have found that the virtual is just really working, drawing a larger audience for them. It's convenient for me, and I can attend more events that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise, and serve some smaller communities because of it. So I'm happy that those are combining. But I'm looking forward to my girls being done with school because this hybrid school stuff has been a little trying, but we're headed into that. Getting outside, we've been outside all the time. It's warm here in California. So, we're lucky that we've had a really warm year. So we've been out at the pool constantly. So I'm looking forward to that though.
We finally got an 80-degree day. And for late April, when we're recording this, that's ridiculous for us. So we're totally excited in the tri-state area.
I bet you are.
I will be outside at some point. I want to try to help people understand. We're going to do a little plug section here just because we have a lot of people on. I want you to share all the places people can find you, things you have coming up, programs, offers, things like that. I want to do that plug section here. We've done that a couple of times, you and I, but let's let these viewers and these listeners have a chance to connect with you. Sound cool?
Sounds fine.
All right, hit it. Go. Give the plug away.
Yeah. So if you want to connect with me personally and you just want to kind of connect up or follow me, the best place to do that is on LinkedIn because I do most of my own personal posting. There are a couple of messages that come from my team in there, but most of the part of everything that's out there is chosen or put out by me. So you can get a better taste of who I am by going on LinkedIn and finding Tracy Hazzard with 2 Z's, which is unusual, but there you go. You'll find me there. You can also go to thebingefactor.com and you could check out my podcast, and podetize.com. We have a podcast called Feed Your Brand over there. And in the next few months, that's all going to be revamped and reorganized to make it really easy for you to find the exact kind of content you're looking for about podcasting. So if you're looking for advanced tactics or guesting or all different kinds of things, it's all going to be reorganized for you. So you'll be able to find that there. And podetize.com is the easiest place for you to get in touch with my team or find out anything you want want about podcasting. And if you're interested in taking a course on how to podcast, to do it yourself, we have a free course, and I give it away free all the time because I don't want you to get mired up in the learning part of podcasting. There's so much to do with actually recording and doing your podcast. Do that part. You shouldn't be spending money on the course itself. So we give away exactly what we do for our clients in our podcast course. So we call it the boot camp, though. It's a bit intense, I'll have to say. But those are the places to reach us.
I like it. All right. So I'm trying to figure out where we can go with Tracy here, because Tracy's had me on her program. And she's been on a Thrive Loud episode real recently, which we get really into the specifics of this. So let's go off the reservation here. I want to talk about the things that we don't like. I'm saying we. I'm not even saying you. What are the things that we don't like about what's happening in the podcasting space or in the connecting space? And I want to give this caveat. You hit something really interesting earlier in the interview, which was there's a lot of these people offering courses, and some of the stuff is like just whatever. It's passé. It's garbage. It's whatever. Things you're seeing that you're like, ugh, I can't believe they're still doing this, or oh, I can't believe that's even being done at all. I'm curious. I've got a couple. You've got a couple. Let's share both. Let's do that. I'll show you yours. You show me mine.
I got it. You asked the most opinionated girl, so no problem here.
I like it. That's why I knew this would be good. Okay, so tell me what you got. What you've been seeing that you're not happy with.
So I'm really disappointed in Spotify and Apple going out on the subscription side of things. So for those of you who haven't heard, they've announced that they're having subscription programs. Apple's going to take 30% of your subscriber money. So you can choose to have a premium podcast, for instance, and sell it for $20 a month or $20 for a year. I don't know. You get to decide the price, but they're going to take 30% of that. But then at the end of the day, and Spotify's going to do the same thing, but they're offering it for free. So they're not going to take a cut for the first 2 years. And so that's how they've decided to go about it. But at the end of the day, they are going to not share the subscribers with you. Oh. So at the end of the day, you're giving them your premium content, your premium show, this thing that you are going to have to put extra value into in order to achieve the value of it. And you don't get to know who's listening. You don't get direct access to the listeners. It's in the contract already. I've reviewed every line item in it, and I'm frustrated by that because at the end of the day, if I'm bringing you value, Apple and Spotify, I should get some value back for that. Otherwise, why even bother to do it? Why don't I just have my premium podcast on my website? I can.
Or the better place is can we put ourselves in a position to not have it there? Like to have, I mean, put it in places that other places. I'm just thinking Good Pods, for examples. I know you can listen to your show on that app, and that's not charging you anything. Or there's other places I guess you could direct people to listen to. Maybe.
Right. At the end of the day, if someone's not giving me a direct connection to someone who's paying for my service in some way, shape, or form, or paying for my content, then don't do it. Like that, I just don't see the value in it. And I can't advise my clients to do it. Well, especially because at the end of the day, my clients, their values in their website anyway. So they're creating membership groups, they're creating private podcasts. They can do all of that themselves. And if you're taking all the time to drive the traffic to it, how are you going to market for it? You're going to market for Spotify? You're going to market for Apple? No, they should be marketing for you. And if they're not going to do that, then that's not a value either.
They should be paying us is really what I'm making heard out of it. This goes way back. I can't believe I'm going to bring this up. Jim Taylor. Jim Taylor was one of my longtime mentors. This is going to take me back, and this will date me. Jim Taylor was the former head of marketing of Gateway Computers. Do you remember Gateway Computers?
I remember Gateway.
Big box with the cow on the outside because it came from like South Dakota or wherever it was, that part of the world. Yeah. So Jim Taylor, one of the greatest marketing minds, and he actually had this idea, which was how important brands are to you. And the reality is that Mercedes, for example, should pay you to be their customer, to stay their customer. And his general point was, he goes, the value, it's so expensive to lose a customer that you have that's constantly doing business with you, that it's worth it to actually either give incentives or a program. Imagine having a SaaS model back in the day for buying cars. what you kind of do, you have a lease and then you could turn the car in and then they try and roll you over to something new. But the reality that his point was, he goes, no, they should actually give extreme discounts to those people that already are customers for that particular product. And this goes to the point of what you're hitting about. This is a community of people. They know Tracy, they know Lou, they listen to this show, they absorb this content. This is the type of stuff that you hope that they are absorbing and are able to say, these are the people we want. Now, other players like Spotify and Apple are coming in and they're saying, oh, no, we want to have a piece of this thing. It's the exact opposite. It should be the other way around. If you want to use their platform for it, they should be paying you. That would be my 2 cents. I like that.
I agree.
Totally
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can't believe I just gave a shout out to him.
Well, good for him. But this is the thing, is like, so often we do give away all of our, I call it our authority, right? Yeah. We give away our authority to Facebook. We give it away to Instagram. We give it away to all of these platforms who at the end of the day are not actually helping us. We think they are, but they're not actually helping us connect more with the right people.
Right.
That, it's a lot of work to do that. And it is our content that is driving that, or it wouldn't tap into their algorithm. So we're doing the right thing. They're not doing the right thing for us. And we have to keep remembering we're actually in control of that. So at the end of the day, if we're not taking our content and bringing it back to the one place where we provide the most value, which should be your website, right? It should be your business, wherever your business is located, right? If we're not bringing them back to that place, then we're actually not utilizing those services. We should not be staying on TikTok. We should not be staying on YouTube. We should make sure that they drive up, because what happened to all those YouTubers out there when the algorithm shifts and they lost all of their people, or they turned off all the comments and all of a sudden they couldn't have a connection to their audience anymore? No. You're at the whim of those platforms. Take control of your authority. Make sure you have it for yourself at the end of the day.
So here's my big complaint, and I know this is going to hit the same thing for you. As you know, I host multiple programs, so I have lots of shows, and I am bombarded, as are probably you, with people who represent other guests on programs. They have guesting services where they're going out and they're trying to offer these guest services to get them on the podcast. This is what I hate. I hate getting these emails of them giving me full multi-page, I have to scroll, I can't even tell you how long, on why they have such a great guest, without them actually saying why the guest will be good for my specific podcast, why they'll be good for Thrive Loud. This happens every freaking day, multiple times a day. First of all, does it happen to you? I'm sure it does.
It happens to me like hourly.
It's hourly, right?
Yeah.
So what I cannot understand, and I want the people of the world to understand this, that if you are trying to get someone on this show, and we have a lot of listeners and we have a lot of folks, we have great people like Tracy. Tracy's on this show because Tracy thrives loud. She clicks all the boxes of all the reasons she thrives in her life, her business, and her passion, and why our listeners would care is because she's going to make their business, their entrepreneurship, whatever it is, better. Somebody shows me, I have a woman who wrote a book on the pains you're suffering during pregnancy and how you're going to recover for that. Probably not my audience to come to me. And this happens unbelievably. And I'm like, how do we tap into this stuff? It is so unbelievable. But these people are actually going out and sending out messages proactively to say, we want to have you on, fill in the blank podcast show. Please stop it, people.
Please stop
Please
it.
Stop
It's this shotgun approach, right?
Yes.
We have this shotgun mass mailing approach, and we treat email the same way. So someone's going through and downloading all of the shows that are in the business category or whatever category off of something like Listen Notes, and trolling all the email addresses for all of those. And then they just send out a mass mailing without any care for its conversion rate.
Right.
And I can't stand that. It's not the way we work. I'm trying really hard because I'm a numbers girl at the end of the day. I want high engagement, high conversion, and I'm always looking for the ways to finesse that to get to the 4%, right? The 4% you have to do to make that happen. So where is that going to happen for me? So we actually developed a whole system behind the scenes for filtering the shows and finding the right shows. And now I'm working on how do we get that pitching to be not all about me, but about you, the host, about you, the audience. And so to make sure that those things are coming in to then the pitch process so that it can be highly effective. So your list is better to begin with, because half the time I have shows that, I only take podcasters on my show. So
Right.
to get hourly emails or messages on LinkedIn that says, hey, I'm an author, I want to be on your show, not going to happen. So you're wasting both of our time. So how can we make that really highly effective? By having a better list and then doing a better job of being outwardly focused and being focused on where we're landing and who we're landing to with our messaging. And that it's, it's the old media model that people still think that podcasting is radio, is entertainment. It's not. It is digital marketing. And if you think it's otherwise, you're wrong. You're sadly mistaken. 90% of what is out there is digital marketing focused. The 10% of shows you'll never get on anyway.
Yep. I just think it's really funny because my favorite story about that is I shouldn't complain. I at least have guests on the show, as do you. I know people that don't have guests on their show that get the same thing, that say, we'd love to have you as this person to be a guest on your program. We don't have guests on the show. I'm like, are you kidding? Like that's the level of, that's the annoyance that's out there. All right. We can go on all day and complain, but nobody wants to listen to our complaints. I just figured it would be a fun thing to do. Tracy Hazzard, we've given all the plugs and where to be. I could chat with you all day. We can do this all the time. We've had a lot of people interact here, and we will never do this again. The old zooming in and out and get our listeners dizzy. But hopefully this was fun for you. Thanks for taking some time today. Always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Lou. I love coming on your show. So anytime.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone. Bye.